Hi, I'm Bernie.
And I'm Penny.
Join us on our quarter-life crisis.
G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of quarterlifecrisis.travel.
So today we're going to be taking on the Old Telegraph Track, and as we show you guys the footage, we'll be talking you through it and just kind of explaining the things we missed on the day and just filling in the gaps, I guess. So the trip started with a bit of preparation. The night before we left Bramwell, we checked the winch, made sure that was working. The solenoids were a bit sticky, so I had to kind of play with them a little bit just to get them to work properly again. We deflated the tyres. I think I went down to about that 19 psi just so I wouldn't lose air through the bead. We removed the boat motor and just all sorts of heavy stuff, just trying to lighten the load on the car a little bit. So apart from that, there was just general maintenance like checking the oil, checking the water, coolant, all that kind of stuff, just making sure we're not beginning the track with potential issues. We've just started the Old Telegraph Track. It's 7:30 in the morning and we have a pretty big day ahead of us.
We're gonna plan to do the Old Telly in probably 2 days. We'll do half of it today and then probably half of it tomorrow. And my brother is with us in his patrol.
Just about to hit Palm Creek. We had a quick look at it yesterday. It's looking pretty rutted out and pretty worn out around this time of the year, so doesn't look too bad though. We should be right. Hopefully won't have to winch out the other end. Videos just don't do it justice. Like the absolute sheer drop. That car flipping onto its roof happened a couple of days before we got there. For a car to go down and tip over, it's steep. Like,
yeah. I was kind of expecting to be eased into it. You know, you warm up a little bit, but you come up and that's the very first. Yeah,
the first thing you see is that.
Is Palm Creek.
Honestly, Palm Creek's probably the worst thing on the whole track.
My brother, he did a great job. He hit it after some encouragement, but he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, no, he nailed it.
I'm shitting bricks.
You got this.
Keep a spare pair of undies ready.
You can just turn them inside out, should be right.
Piece of piss, mate.
You're all asking probably, why didn't the cruiser go down there? We were just simply too wide. Like we just weren't going to fit down there. Having the extra scrub bars, we would have just got hung up halfway down.
There are another couple lines that you could take. We took one that was probably still fairly challenging.
Probably the steepest after Palm Creek.
Yeah.
It just was nice and wide basically.
But it was much better for our vehicle, so that's what we chose. Bernie did it fairly easily. Cruise down into that little creek as you come in that drop in.
Yeah.
Break anything yet?
Easy peasy.
And then on the way out, we walked up and down the creek a bit and we tried to find the hardest line possible. So there's obviously some lines which you look at and you've got no chance, like you're just winching up it. So we chose one that was nice and rutted, steep, but we thought we got a good shot of it. Once you leave Palm Creek, there's a whole bunch of little just swampy creek crossings. Once you pass all them, you get to Birdie Creek, which is a nice wide rocky creek. All you got to do is just make sure you walk it and find the big holes and just avoid those holes.
Pretty much you just follow along the far right hand side along the sandy bank and then you find the shallow spit across. And of course we had to get the drone up to take a few shots, and it's my
Penny's first time flying a drone, so
yeah, it's a bit dodgy.
You guys leave in the comment what you think.
I'm so sorry, guys.
So we came across our first mud pit. We decided to get out and just walk it, mainly because the mud where we were from is pretty average.
Yeah, it gets pretty sticky and you just sink into it. So we thought, okay, we don't really know what the mud's like here at the Cape, so let's check it out before we go down there. And it seemed fairly okay, so the boys just hit it.
It's nothing like black soil. There's a lot of, I guess you could call it like downtime. I mean, we probably expect a lot more from the track. So every opportunity we got to hit some harder lines or any ruts or steeper angles, we chose those lines just to make it a bit more interesting.
But of course, you know, if your vehicle isn't as capable or you don't feel confident doing it, there's plenty of chicken tracks that do go around those bits. Of course, the boys were full steam ahead, straight down the hardest line that they could find, but it was a bit of fun.
But honestly, like I'd say probably 70% of the Old Telly you could probably do in a Ford Territory.
We're on our way now to Gunshot, which is probably one of the more exciting things to hit on the telly track and the most famous.
Well-known, yeah, I'd say.
Along the way though, if you don't want to do Gunshot, there is a road that you can take to go back onto the main road and skip Gunshot.
Gunshot was the only spot where there was no chicken track. Like every single line was, say, fairly committing, or you just had to do it basically.
So my brother Tom, he decided to take the more narrower Gunshot line. He got egged on a bit by a group of boys who were there watching in the crowd, and so
we were same again. We weren't going to fit. And
yeah,
we just coming around that corner, we would have just got panel damage again. So we opted just to take a different line. Coming down Gunshot, we stuck to the far left of the track, and then once we hit the bottom, we turned sharp right just to try and change that departure angle for the rear bumper. And even though the camera might not show it is pretty steep, we did not hit the bumper at all. So that was pretty much the goal of Gunshot.
Getting a bit too easy for the boys, so they thought, okay, let's do something a bit more challenging.
Pretty much the next thing we find that looks hectic, no matter what it was, we were going to hit it. And
what it was just a huge mud pit. You could see that people had tried to go through there, but you couldn't really see many fresh tracks on the way out.
There's no tracks really leading out.
No.
basically if you had maybe some 37-inch tyres, you stood a chance, but as soon as we hit this, we just sat on the belly and we were done.
She proper stacked on.
A bit deep there.
She's a bit deep. Oh mate, you can't park here.
You can't park there.
From the moment I went in there, standard again, too wide, the scrub bars were up against the bank and it actually pushed a bit of mud between the scrub bar and the panel of the car and pushed the panel in a little bit. Luckily I got in there afterwards, put my fingers behind the panel and just popped it back out, so no damage luckily.
And hit it. I'm bottomed out, boys. Done.
Are you done, Bernie?
Yeah. Can't go anywhere else.
We came up to Cockatoo Creek, which is quite a long and fast flowing creek with some deep holes on the left. So what Bernie and the boys did was take the far right line and just hugged that edge right up until it comes to the middle bit.
Yeah.
And then the actual challenging bit is the exit on the other side. It's a really steep sandy hill that they had to get up. And of course, my lovely drone footage, it couldn't capture it. I still can't work out the controllers, so sorry, missed it. But it was a pretty hectic climb at the end.
By no means had to cross, but we thought, you know what, why not? And unfortunately for Tom, his car's the exact right length, that the front right and the back left fit in the rut at the exact same time. And yeah, he just got hung up and couldn't go forwards, couldn't go backwards, so out came the Snatchy.
Out came the Land Cruiser to the rescue. We came up to the end of day one. It was a great day, and right at the end of well, what we call the middle section is Fruitbat Falls, which is a pretty famous swimming hole. It was a beautiful, refreshing dip right after the end of a long, hot day.
This is a great spot to camp for the night before you take on day two. It's a good distance for one day, accounting for people in front of you and waiting and kind of hopping out and chatting to people. It's only, I think it's about 70 k's up the PDR. So day two, we hit Sam's Creek. I think that was the first decent crossing we hit for the day. When we got there, there's a bunch of people just sitting there waiting. I don't think anyone had seen anyone go through it yet, so we were the guinea pigs. We jumped out, we walked it, and just, it was fairly deep. It was probably like just under the groin, and it had a pretty sandy bottom on the right-hand side of the track, so it must have a bit of water flowing under it, and as soon as you step on it, you just kind of sink down a bit. So we just got prepped properly, made sure there was a vehicle behind us ready to go, and yeah, we went for it, and it ended up being nice and easy anyway. So.
Our next major challenge that we came across was Cannibal Creek. And let me tell ya, it was a long wait. We were waiting there for like 2 hours.
2 hours at least. There's
There
probably
was a huge
maybe
lineup.
10 cars in front of us, 10, 15 cars, and I reckon about 2 of them drove it.
Everyone else just had to
Yeah,
get,
everyone else
you
just
know, pulled
had
up
to get
or...
snatched or winched out. I think it was just a mixture of clearance and traction at the end of the day.
But then of course we were at the back of the line, so by the time we got there, the exit from Cannibal
Yeah,
Creek
it'd been
was
spun up way worse.
spun up. Just for a bit of reference, we've put in a little bit of footage from our friend who drove it, and you can see from the wheel lift that those ruts are pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, he gave it everything that Hilux had, and camera doesn't really do it justice. For me personally, Cypress Creek was probably the most disappointing part. I feel like everyone online had hyped it up so much. It wasn't that bad. You literally just watch your right hand wheel and hug the edge.
Second last creek crossing of the entire track, Logan's Creek.
Logan's was probably my favourite creek crossing on the whole trip. Had a nice, like, little bit of a drop in into the muddy sections, and then it was fairly long and relatively deep all the way through.
And of course, round 3 of my lovely drone footage. And of course, last but not least, Nolan's Creek crossing.
So Nolan's is probably considered to be the most dangerous crossing on the whole track. I think more cars have drowned at Nolan's than anywhere else in Australia, in the country basically. Key things for Nolan's: tyre pressures and not putting your foot down.
Yeah, yeah, so many people were saying give it the berries, but don't give it the berries.
Yeah, I feel like
you
every
sink
single
down.
car that put their foot down even slightly just buried straight down, and every single bloke who put it in first or second low and just let it idle through, it wasn't even a problem. Like, it didn't even struggle at all.
Let's sink some Land Cruisers. Dry, mate.
Oh, she's dry. The second day that we were at Nolan's just observing and, you know, being the peanut gallery, we watched this...
It was a patrol,
was it?
yeah, big chop patrol go through.
It went through, but of course he put the foot down, he wasn't prepped, he didn't have a strap linked to it.
No one ready on the other side.
No one ready.
Absolutely flooded that whole car.
He just sunk and they
He
were...
didn't even make it a meter. Like, he wasn't even close to making it.
And people were sort of running around trying to get the straps on there. So of course, if you want to be safe, make sure that you strap up first, have it all prepped, have people carrying the line
Yeah,
as
if
you go
if you want to
through.
try to drive it yourself, put the strap on, get somebody to run in front and pull it just to make sure you don't run over the strap.
Just keep the tension
yeah,
on it.
but already have it connected to a car on the other side. That way, the moment you go down, you just let go of the strap, you just tell the car to go,
and you get pulled out in seconds.
And you still have the same satisfaction of driving it without the risk of losing your car.
An awesome free camp is Nolan's Creek Crossing. We camped there a couple nights.
I think we did 3 nights there in the end.
It's so much fun. You can swim in the little creek, obviously just be wary of crocs, but it's clear, so just keep your eye out. You can watch people go through. It's a whole lot of fun. A big crowd gathers there.
Yeah, and a lot of people camp there, so it's good atmosphere at night. If you don't want to do the whole Old Telly track, but you do want to go check out Nolan's, just jump on the PDR and just duck off down that road, and I think it's probably like 10-15 Ks, and then you're at Nolan's.
Righto guys, that's the end of this episode. Hope you enjoyed.
That's a wrap up.
That's a wrap. Join us for next week's episode as we continue on our lap of Australia.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Wherever you go, you know I'd follow you, 'cause I'd go anywhere, anywhere, anywhere with you. Just say let's go.